My name is Emily Carter. I'm 32 years old and I live in Charleston, South Carolina. By trade, I'm an event planner, the kind of woman who spent most of her adult life creating perfect nights for other people, lavish weddings, luxury galas, charity dinners where the lighting and music are timed to the second. I'm used to controlling chaos. I thrive on it, honestly. But when it comes to my own life, it turns out I was blind, too trusting, too forgiving, especially when it came to my sister, Olivia. Olivia was always dazzling, younger than me by 2 years, but you'd never guess. She had that effortless glow, like she was born for magazine covers and spotlights. While I worked behind the scenes, she was the one everyone noticed. The kind of woman who didn't walk into a room she arrived, and I loved her for it. God, I did. She was my baby sister. I defended her when people called her reckless. I bailed her out of trouble when her debts piled too high. I even turned down career opportunities just so I could stay close, keep her grounded, but nothing prepares you for the moment you realize the person you would die for is the same person willing to kill you. It was supposed to be magical. Christmas Eve on a yacht off the coast of Miami. Olivia had invited me as her guest of honor, saying she wanted to celebrate her latest business deal. I remember standing on the deck, the salt air whipping through my hair, my white cashmere sweater clinging to me in the wind. The ocean was dark, endless, like velvet stretched across the horizon. The lights from the city shimmered faintly in the distance. Emily, relax. Olivia laughed, swirling champagne in her glass. You're acting like it's a funeral. I forced a smile. I'm just soaking it in. It's beautiful. She looked radiant that night. Her long red dress caught the glow from the string lights above, and her diamond necklace glittered like frost. She was the picture of success, of power, but I should have noticed her eyes. They weren't soft or joyful. They were sharp, calculating. Before I tell you what happened on that yacht, I need you to understand us. We grew up in a modest home. Our parents weren't rich, but they worked hard. Dad was a mechanic, Mom a teacher. I was the responsible one, straight A student, dependable, the one who never gave our parents trouble. Olivia? She was the wild child. Parties, late nights, a string of boyfriends with dangerous smiles, but she had this way of getting forgiven, of making people bend. She'd flash that perfect grin, bat her lashes, and suddenly the anger would melt. Even our parents gave her chances they never gave me, and me? I enabled it. I told myself I was protecting her. I told myself that's what sisters do. The night stretched on. Olivia's friends, investors, socialites, people who treated life like a game of poker with $1,000,000 chips danced and drank below deck. Olivia pulled me aside to the railing. Her voice was hushed, urgent. You know, Emily, she said, brushing her hair from her face, you've always been the steady one, the safe one. But safe doesn't get you anywhere in life. I frowned. What are you talking about? She tilted her head, studying me. There's a lot of money moving around right now. And I mean, a lot. I could set you up, make you part of it. But you're too good, too moral. You'd ruin everything with your conscience. Her words stung. I've always had your back, Olivia. Always, she smiled faintly. And I appreciate that. But sometimes, sis, loyalty isn't enough. Before I could respond, she leaned closer. I could smell the champagne on her breath. Her eyes locked on mine, and for a flicker of a second, I swear I saw something cold, something inhuman. It happened So fast, and yet I remember every detail like it's branded into my skin. 1 second, Olivia's hand was resting lightly on my arm. The next, she shoved me hard backward. I gasped, stumbled, felt the icy air rush around me as the world tilted. The railing slipped past my vision, and then the ocean swallowed me whole. The shock of the cold ripped the breath from my lungs. Salt water surged into my mouth, burning my throat. I kicked, thrashed, desperate, my white sweater dragging me down like chains. Above, I heard laughter. Not screams of horror, not panic. Laughter. I forced my head above the waves just long enough to see her, Olivia, leaning casually against the railing, a glass of champagne still in her hand. She lifted it toward me like a toast. Then she turned away, and the yacht began to drift, its lights growing smaller, dimmer, until the darkness claimed me. In those endless seconds, as the water closed over my head, one thought pulsed in my mind, louder than my heartbeat, sharper than the salt in my eyes. My own sister wants me dead. For money, $1 billion. That's what her life insurance fraud scheme was worth. 1 billion reasons to erase me from the picture, but she didn't know me as well as she thought, because I don't sink that easily, and what I came back with was a gift my sister will never forget. If you're still listening, maybe you felt betrayal this sharp too. Pause, subscribe, because the next part of my story will cut even deeper. The ocean is a strange place when you're drowning. It doesn't roar like the movies. It whispers. It presses in, heavy, suffocating, like it wants to cradle you to sleep. I remember the way the salt burned my throat, how the waves slapped against my face like cruel hands, dragging me under again and again. My arms ached, my legs screamed, the cashmere sweater clung to me like a shroud, and above all, the thought pulsed like fire in my skull. Olivia did this, my sister, my flesh and blood. Every second felt like an hour. I clawed toward the surface, choking, coughing, spitting water from my lungs. My fingers brushed nothing but emptiness. My eyes stung from the salt. I tried to scream her name, Olivia, but all that came out was a garbled rasp before another wave silenced me. The yacht was gone. Just gone. Its lights had become a faint star on the horizon, and then even that disappeared. I was alone. Somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered, "Let go. It would be easier," and for a heartbeat, I wanted to, but another voice rose up louder, sharper, fueled by rage. "No, not like this." Not by her hand. That anger lit something in me. I kicked harder. My lungs burned, my muscles screamed, but I refused to give her the victory. I don't know how long I drifted. Time dissolved into nothing but cold and darkness, but at some point I saw a faint light. A boat, not a yacht, just a small fishing vessel cutting across the waves. I don't remember screaming. I don't even remember raising my arm. All I remember is a man's voice, rough and startled. "Jesus Christ, there's someone out there." Strong arms pulled me aboard. I collapsed onto the wooden deck, coughing up half the Atlantic. My vision blurred, but I remember the smell, diesel and fish, sharp and real. A woman wrapped a blanket around me. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Honey, you're safe now. You're safe, but I wasn't." Not really. When I woke, it was to the sterile glow of hospital lights. My body was hooked to IVs, my throat raw, my skin scraped from the ocean. The nurses asked me questions. "Name? Age? Do you remember what happened?" I lied. I said I slipped off a boat. I said it was an accident, because the truth was too heavy to carry yet, and some truths you don't hand over to strangers, but when they left me alone, I whispered it into the empty room. She pushed me. The words tasted like poison while I lay in that hospital bed, pale and broken. Olivia was already spinning her narrative. I saw it on the news. A polished clip of her standing outside her penthouse, face painted with fake grief. My sister Emily is missing, she told the cameras, her voice breaking at all the right moments. We believe she fell overboard. The Coast Guard is searching tirelessly. Please, please, if anyone knows anything, help us bring her home. She even dabbed at her eyes with a silk handkerchief. I wanted to smash the TV because behind that act was the truth. To Olivia, I was already dead, and she was already counting the payout. When I was discharged, I didn't go home. I couldn't. Home was Charleston, and Charleston was filled with people who would run straight to her. Instead, I rented a small apartment in Miami under a different name. A quiet, empty place with peeling paint and a broken stove. I ate canned soup. I avoided mirrors. For weeks, I barely moved. The betrayal was a weight I carried in my chest, pressing down with every breath. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, I'd wake up gasping, the phantom taste of salt water filling my mouth. I'd hear the echo of her laugh, see her raising that glass in my mind, and worst of all, part of me still wanted to believe there was some mistake, that she hadn't meant it, that maybe she panicked, but then I'd remember her eyes. Cold, clear, calculated. No, she meant every second of it. The collapse nearly swallowed me whole, but something inside refused to die. One morning, as I sat staring at a cracked mug of coffee, I asked myself, what now? Do you just let her win? The answer was clear. No, I wouldn't just survive. I would rebuild. And when I was ready, I would show the world who she really was. But revenge isn't taken in a rush. It's carved slowly, patiently, like stone. And mine was just beginning. Don't look away now. Whisper, this is only the beginning. Hit subscribe and stay with me. Miami was supposed to be a city of sunlight. For me, it was shadows. My apartment smelled of damp plaster and cheap detergent. The kind of place where no one asked questions, where the neighbors kept their doors shut tight. It was perfect for disappearing. Every day, I forced myself out of bed. My body was healing, but my spirit, that took longer. The bruises faded, the salt-burned scars slowly healed, but the ache inside remained. I kept replaying the moment on the yacht, her hand, her eyes, the cruel smile as she raised her glass. That image wasn't just a memory. It became fuel. At first, I could barely run half a mile without collapsing. My body had been weakened by days in the hospital, by weeks of eating almost nothing, but I pushed. Every morning, I forced myself out to the shore. The ocean terrified me, but I ran beside it, as if to prove I wasn't afraid anymore. I joined a grimy gym, lifting weights until my arms shook, until the trainer told me to stop. You're gonna break yourself, he warned. I'm already broken, I said flatly. I'm just rebuilding the pieces. Slowly, I hardened. My body learned endurance. My mind sharpened. Pain became discipline, and beneath it all was the same vow. She will not win, but survival wasn't enough. I needed answers, proof, something stronger than just my word against hers. Olivia had always been careful, polished, public. She knew how to wear masks, but masks always crack somewhere. I started small burner laptops, fake names, deep dives. into financial records. The insurance claim she'd filed was public knowledge, buried in maritime law documents. She hadn't wasted time. Less than 48 hours after my disappearance, she filed a $1 billion policy, signed, notarized. Waiting for payout, my blood boiled, but rage alone wouldn't topple her. I needed evidence, something undeniable. So I went deeper. Offshore accounts, shell companies, quiet payoffs to lawyers and politicians. The deeper I dug, the dirtier it got, and in that dirt, I found something interesting. A name, Marcus Hale, private banker, discreet, expensive, loyal, only to money, and from the looks of his encrypted files, Olivia had wired him millions just weeks before the accident. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen. This was it. This was the crack in her armor. Still, every step felt dangerous. Olivia had reach, influence, connections. I couldn't just walk into a lawyer's office. Couldn't call the police. Who would believe me? The woman declared dead by the Coast Guard. The sister Olivia had tearfully mourned on national television. No, I had to move in silence. I kept my world small. No friends, no neighbors. My burner phone was my only lifeline. I deleted every trace of myself online, and yet, some nights, paranoia crept in. I'd hear footsteps in the hall and hold my breath, waiting. I'd see shadows move under my door. Sometimes I swore I saw her face in the crowd, smiling, calm, untouched. But it was just my mind playing tricks. Or maybe not. It was a stormy night when I reached out to Marcus Hale. A single encrypted message sent through layers of anonymity. Mr. Hale, you don't know me, but I know about the transfers, and I know who paid you. Meet me, or the world will. 2. I didn't expect a reply, but 10 minutes later, a ping. Who is this? I hesitated before typing back. Just 2 words, her sister. That night, I didn't sleep. My heart pounded with equal parts fear and exhilaration. For the first time since the ocean swallowed me, I felt something new. Not despair, not just anger, power, a tiny flame flickering to life inside me, and I promised myself I'd feed it until it became an inferno. Stories like mine aren't rare, but most women stay silent. Subscribe, and you'll hear the truths that were never meant to be spoken. Miami nights hum with neon, but that evening I felt none of it. My chest was tight, my hands clammy as I sat in the corner of a dim cafe, the kind where flickering lights make every stranger look like a threat. I had chosen the place carefully, crowded enough to feel safe, anonymous enough to disappear. At 9:03 p.m., he walked in. Marcus Hale. He was exactly as I imagined: sleek suit, silver cufflinks, a man who carried himself like money was stitched into his skin. But his eyes gave him away. Sharp, restless, a man always calculating risk. He spotted me, frowned, and slid into the seat across from mine. "You've got nerve," he muttered. His voice was smooth, but laced with tension. "You know she's dangerous." I leaned forward. My voice was steady, though my hands trembled under the table. "She's my sister, and she tried to kill me." He flinched. "Just barely, but enough." "Impossible," he whispered. He stopped himself. "You were declared dead. I survived." I let the word hang in the air like a blade. "And now I want the truth. You have files, transfers, records, proof." Marcus stared at me for a long moment. Then he sighed, rubbed his temple, and pulled out his phone. "You don't understand what you're asking for," he said quietly. Olivia doesn't just have money. She has people. People who make problems vanish. I didn't blink. I'm not asking for your help, Marcus. I'm offering you a choice. Give me what I need, and you walk away clean. Stay loyal to her, and when she falls, you'll fall with her. For a second, I thought he would laugh. Instead, he opened a hidden folder, slid the screen toward me, bank records, wire transfers, offshore accounts tied to shell companies in the Caymans, and one transfer that made my stomach drop. 15 million to a man named Victor Rains. The memo line, completion of service. I felt my throat tighten. What service? I demanded. Marcus hesitated, his jaw clenched. He's not a banker, not a lawyer. He's cleaner. If Olivia wanted you gone, he'd make sure it happened. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just betrayal. It was premeditated, contracted, paid in full. She hadn't just pushed me in a moment of rage. She had planned it, bought it, signed it in blood and money. Marcus leaned closer, lowering his voice. She doesn't know you're alive. Not yet. But if she finds out, he shook his head. She'll finish what she started. And Victor, he won't fail twice. I swallowed hard, forcing down the fear. Then I'll just have to make sure she knows I'm alive on my terms. Marcus frowned. You don't understand. Olivia's untouchable in court. Too many politicians in her pocket. If you want revenge, it won't come from the law. I met his eyes, steady and unflinching. Good. I wasn't planning on using the law. When Marcus left, he slipped me a USB drive under the table. That's all I can give you, he whispered. If she finds out I talk to you, we'll both be corpses. I watched him disappear into the Miami night, his shadow swallowed by rain. The drive in my hand was warm, heavy, like it pulsed with life. It wasn't just data. It was the first weapon in my arsenal, and for the first time, I realized this wasn't about survival anymore. This was war. Back in my apartment, I plugged in the drive. The files glowed on my laptop, each one a nail in Olivia's coffin. But how to use them? Quietly? Publicly? A leak to the press? A whisper campaign? No, that wasn't enough. Olivia had humiliated me in silence, in secrecy, in the shadows of the ocean. So I would expose her in the brightest light possible. I imagined her face on every news channel, her empire crumbling live in real time, her smile breaking, her mask slipping, her lies unraveling before millions. It wasn't just about justice. It was about spectacle, because what she did to me deserved to be remembered, and I would make sure no one ever forgot. Don't look away now. This is only the beginning. Hit subscribe and stay with me. Miami's skyline glittered like a crown of fire that night. But I wasn't looking at the view. I was staring at the faces on my laptop screen. Anchors, journalists, influencers, all waiting for a story big enough to shake the ground beneath them. And I had it. The files Marcus gave me weren't just money trails. They were Olivia's sins, coded into numbers and signatures. Offshore accounts, fake charities, backdoor deals with senators. Enough to ruin her, but I couldn't just send the files. No, Olivia thrived on image. She fed off admiration, applause, envy. To destroy her, I had to burn her reputation in public, live where she couldn't hide. So I chose the stage, a gala, her gala. It came in the mail, sleek black cardstock with silver trim. The annual Horizon Foundation charity ball. Olivia's pet project, her vanity mirror disguised as philanthropy. this year's theme. Oceans of tomorrow. I almost laughed. Oceans. The irony was too sharp to ignore. I slipped the invitation into my purse. I wasn't on the guest list, but I had a plan. 2 nights before the gala, I sensed it. A figure behind me in the reflection of a store window. A car idling too long at the curb outside my building. Victor Reigns, the ghost Olivia had paid to erase me. I never saw his face, not fully. Just a shadow crossing the street, a whisper of leather shoes behind me, but my gut knew. He wasn't guessing anymore. Someone had told him I wasn't dead, and now he was hunting me. The gala was perfect. Cameras everywhere, reporters swarming, live streams humming with thousands of viewers. I arranged everything. A disguised transmitter hidden in my clutch, a timed broadcast loaded on my laptop, ready to hijack the gala screens. Marcus's files encrypted and set to upload once the reveal began. It wasn't just exposure, it was execution. Olivia had always bathed in spotlights. Tonight, those same lights would scorch her. I wore black silk, simple, elegant, anonymous. The ballroom shimmered with chandeliers, champagne flutes, and people dressed like royalty. Olivia stood near the stage, radiant in emerald green, her laugh bright and sharp like broken glass. She hadn't changed, not a crack in her facade. To the world, she was still untouchable, but to me, she was already ashes. I slipped closer to the stage, heart pounding, the transmitter warm in my palm. Ladies and gentlemen, Olivia's voice rang through the hall, smooth and flawless. Tonight we gather not just for charity, but for legacy. Her legacy, her lies. I pressed the button. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the giant screens behind her flickered, her voice cut out, and suddenly, it was my face on every screen in the ballroom, alive, breathing, speaking, "Good evening," I said, my voice steady, echoing through hidden speakers. Some of you know me, most of you don't. My name is Emily Carter. Olivia's sister. Gasps rippled across the crowd. Olivia froze, her smile shattering for the first time. She told you I was dead, I continued. She wanted me gone. She tried to kill me for money, $1 billion to be exact. And she thought she succeeded. The screens shifted bank records, wire transfers, names, accounts. She didn't just steal. She paid for silence. She bought power. And when that wasn't enough, she bought blood. Olivia lunged for the microphone. "This is a lie," she shouted, her voice trembling. "Fabrications. You all know me." But no one listened. The truth was already spreading, live streamed across every phone in the room. And then chaos. The lights flickered. A scream cut through the air. I saw him, Victor, tall, cold, eyes like steel, pushing through the crowd with terrifying calm. He wasn't there for anyone else. He was there for me. I bolted toward the back exit, the crowd breaking apart in panic, Olivia screaming my name into dead microphones. But as I ran, one thought pounded in my head. This wasn't the end. This was only the beginning of the war. If you think this is revenge, wait until you hear what comes next. Subscribe, and don't miss it. The night after the gala, Miami didn't feel like my city anymore. It felt like a trap. My name was everywhere: news tickers, social feeds, late-night talk shows. Emily Carter, presumed dead, returns to accuse her billionaire sister of attempted murder and fraud. Some called me brave. Some called me crazy. But Olivia called me something else, a mistake. and she was going to fix it. The media storm was instant. Investors bailed, partners pulled contracts, donors demanded refunds. Olivia's perfect empire was cracking like ice under a heavy step, but a cornered predator is more dangerous than a free one. And she still had Victor. I knew she'd unleash him now, not just to erase me, but to silence the proof I carried. It happened at dawn. I was leaving Marcus's apartment, disguised in a hoodie, my bag packed with only essentials. A black car rolled past, slow, deliberate. I caught the reflection in its tinted window, Victor leaning back, watching me. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. He didn't get out. He didn't chase me. He just smiled faintly, and the car drifted away. That was worse, because it meant he wasn't rushing. He was hunting. Days blurred into nights. I changed hotels twice, used cash only, burned through burner phones, but no matter where I went, there were traces. A door left ajar when I swore I locked it, a cigarette butt on a balcony I never used, a voicemail with nothing but slow breathing. Victor wasn't trying to kill me yet. He was breaking me down, and it was working. I hadn't slept more than 3 hours in a week. You need to disappear, Marcus whispered, his eyes darting toward every shadow. Emily, this man doesn't play games. He already is playing, I said, voice shaking. And he's winning. Marcus grabbed my hand, firm, grounding me. Then we flip the game. You can't just hide. You have to corner him first. The thought terrified me. But Marcus was right. If I kept running, Victor would catch me. If I made him chase me into the light, maybe, just maybe, I could survive. We set it in an abandoned shipping yard by the Miami docks. Rusted containers, empty warehouses, the kind of place no one would question. Loud noises. Marcus rigged cameras, drones, floodlights. If Victor came for me, the world would finally see him for what he was. I wore a mic under my shirt. My heartbeat thundered against it. Every second felt like waiting for a guillotine to fall. And then he came. He moved like smoke, silent and precise. Black coat, gloves. His expression calm, almost bored, like this was routine. Emily, he said softly, his voice low, measured. You weren't supposed to make it this far. I forced myself to stand tall. Olivia sent you to clean up her mess. He tilted his head slightly. Olivia thinks money controls everything, but I don't care about her money. I care about balance. You tipped the scale when you survived, and now I have to put it back. The floodlights clicked on. Cameras whirred, Victor's face cold. Undeniable was live streamed to thousands of viewers. For the first time, I saw him hesitate, but Victor didn't run. He smiled. You think this ruins me? He whispered. No, Emily, this ruins you, because now Olivia knows exactly where you are. My blood went cold, and then headlights, dozens of cars pulling into the yard. Olivia's men, armed, ready. It wasn't just Victor. It was a war. Don't look away now. This is only the beginning. Hit subscribe and stay with me. The air in the shipping yard turned electric, thick with headlights and the metallic stench of engines. Olivia's men poured out of SUVs, rifles glinting under the floodlights Marcus had set. They didn't shout. They didn't hesitate. They just spread out in a practice formation like this was routine for them. Victor stood calmly in the center, his shadow stretching long against the cracked pavement. You thought this was exposure, he said, his voice steady, almost paternal. But what you really did, Emily, was call the wolves to your door. Marcus cursed under his breath, grabbing my wrist. We're outnumbered 10-1, he hissed, then we make every second count, I whispered back. The cameras were still rolling. The live stream hadn't cut. If we could survive just long enough, if the audience stayed watching, this wouldn't just be a death trap. It would be evidence, but survival felt like a thin thread against a storm. A sleek black car pulled in. Smoother, slower than the others, the back door opened, and there she was, Olivia, my sister, my blood. She wore a white silk suit, the kind meant for magazine covers, not midnight executions. Diamonds on her wrists, calm in her step, her eyes found me immediately. Emily, she said softly, almost like she was greeting me at brunch. You never did know when to let go. My throat tightened. You pushed me off that yacht. You left me to die. Her smile was razor thin. And yet, here you are, always ruining the ending I write. Victor turned to her, his voice patient. It's simpler to end it here. One bullet. No more mess. Olivia shook her head. No, she dies on my terms. Slowly, in ruin, like she tried to do to me. She stepped closer, her heels clicking against the pavement. Do you really think the world cares about your little live stream? She whispered. By morning, this footage will vanish. Every trace of it, and you'll vanish with it. Something inside me snapped that not fear, not panic, but a cold fury. No, Olivia, I said, voice trembling but rising. The world will see you for what you are, a monster, and monsters don't get to write the ending. Marcus triggered the first drone. It swooped down low, buzzing, distracting the gunman. Then a blinding flash erupted, homemade flashbang. The yard erupted in shouts. Gunfire cracked through the air. Sparks rained from a bullet-sliced floodlight. Marcus pulled me behind a rusted shipping container. Move, Emily. Now. We darted. Through the maze of metal, bullets ringing against steel walls, Victor's voice boomed through the chaos. Calm. Controlled. Find her. Do not let her leave alive. We ran. Crawled. Dodged. At one point, a man rounded the corner, rifle aimed. My instincts took over. I shoved the container door hard. It swung into him, knocking him out cold. His gun clattered to the ground. I stared at it, shaking. My hands hovered. Marcus grabbed it, shoving it into my arms. Emily, you want to live? Then hold it. The metal was heavy, too heavy, but so was survival. At last, Olivia found me again. She stood across the yard, Victor at her side. Her men encircled us, guns ready. Her voice sliced through the night. Enough of this. Drop the gun, Emily. Come home with me. We'll make this all disappear. I laughed bitterly, tears stinging my eyes. Disappear? Like you made me disappear. From the yacht? Like you erased Dad's legacy for your billion-dollar schemes? Her mask cracked then. Just for a second, everything I've done, she shouted, voice breaking, was to build something better than what we were given. You were too weak to understand. My grip on the gun tightened. No, Olivia, you were too greedy to care. Victor stepped forward, his pistol raised, steady. Choose, Emily, he said. Drop your weapon or die where you stand. I felt Marcus's hand squeeze my shoulder. My heart pounded like a war drum. For a split second, I imagined pulling the trigger, ending it all, but before I could decide, sirens wailed, police flooding into the yard, red and blue lights cutting through the dark. Victor's eyes flickered. Olivia's jaw clenched. The balance had shifted, but in whose favor? If you think this is revenge, wait until you hear what comes next. subscribe, and don't miss it. The sirens screamed louder, their echoes bouncing off the steel walls of the shipping yard. Blue and red lights painted everything in flickering chaos. Police cars screeched to a halt. Armed officers poured out, shouting commands, weapons drawn. For a heartbeat, I thought I was safe, but then I saw Olivia's expression. Calm, calculated. She wasn't surprised. Victor raised his hand slowly, smirking. Stand down, gentlemen. We've been expecting you. One of the officer's rank patches shining under the floodlight walked right up to him, and instead of cuffing him, he nodded. A chill cut through me. They weren't here to save us. They were his bot. Controlled. Olivia's smile widened when she saw the horror on my face. You never understood, Emily, she whispered across the yard. Money doesn't just buy yachts. It buys silence. It buys law. It buys power. Marcus swore under his breath. They're all dirty. Every damn one of them. I shook my head, fighting the tremor in my voice. No, not all. Not tonight, because the live stream was still rolling. Thousands, maybe millions were watching. The comments on my phone screen were exploding. We see you, Olivia. She's confessing live. Police are compromised. Keep filming. For the first time, I saw doubt flicker in Olivia's eyes. The world wasn't silent this time, but Victor, he didn't flinch. His eyes were cold as stone as he lifted his pistol and aimed it straight at me. This ends now, he said, his tone calm as a surgeon. My breath caught. My arms felt like lead, but I lifted the stolen rifle anyway, my hands shaking violently. Marcus shouted, Emily, get down. The world slowed. My pulse thundered in my ears, and then bang, I braced for pain, for darkness, but it wasn't me who fell. Victor staggered back, shock etched across his face. A crimson bloom spread across his chest. Behind him stood one of the younger officers, gun raised, hands trembling. His voice cracked as he shouted, drop your weapons, all of you, now. The yard froze. The dirty cops hesitated, caught between loyalty and exposure. The live stream captured every second, their faces, their hesitation, their guilt. It was over for them, but Olivia wasn't done. She lunged toward me, her nails like claws, her voice raw with rage. You don't get to ruin me. You don't get to take what's mine. We collided hard, crashing against the steel container. Her perfume, sharp and expensive, clung to me as she tried to force the gun from my hands. Say it, she screamed, eyes wild. Say you'll let it go. Say you'll disappear again. My voice was hoarse, broken, but steady. No, Olivia, I survived you once. I won't disappear again. The fight blurred. The gun twisted between us. Her strength was fueled by pure hatred, mine by everything she'd stolen. Then another shot. Her body went still. Her eyes widened, shock flashing across them like lightning, and she crumpled to the ground. For a long moment, all I heard was the ringing in my ears. I stared down at her. My sister, my blood. Lifeless on the cold pavement, the live stream still rolled. Silence fell across the feed. The honest officers, what few there were, took control. Marcus pulled me into his arms, holding me up as my knees gave out. Victor was gone. Olivia was gone, but the truth was alive. By morning, the footage had spread across every platform, every news outlet. Every corner of the internet. Olivia's empire crumbled in real time. Her name, once untouchable, was now synonymous with betrayal. And me? I wasn't free. Not entirely. Not yet. Because revenge doesn't give freedom. It gives scars. And scars don't fade. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 34 years old. And my sister tried to erase me for $1 billion. But I didn't sink. I didn't vanish. I came back. And when I did, I ended her story, not mine. If you've listened this far, maybe you've carried scars too. Maybe you've survived your own Olivia. Subscribe, because this wasn't the last time someone tried to silence a woman like me, and the next story might be closer to your own than you think.